Ilara was a blacksmith, a master of her trade. She lived in a quaint village nestled between two rolling hills, a place where time seemed to stand still. Her workshop, small and warm, held the scent of coal smoke and hot metal, a comforting aroma that spoke of hard work and dedication. Ilara was known far and wide for her exceptional craft. She poured her heart and soul into each piece, from delicate metal flowers to sturdy, reliable tools that the villagers depended on. The villagers often stopped by her workshop, drawn by the warmth and the rhythmic sounds of her labor. They would watch Ilara work, mesmerized by the flying sparks and the rhythmic clang of her hammer. Ilara loved her village deeply. She knew everyone by name, and they knew her as a friend and a skilled artisan. Their stories, their joys, and their sorrows were woven into the very fabric of her life, making her feel connected to each and every one of them. Life in the village was simple, but it was good, filled with moments of peace and contentment. Ilara found immense joy in her craft, in the warmth and glow of her forge, and in the company of her neighbors, who were like family to her. She had all she needed, or so she thought, content in her world of fire, metal, and community. One day, a wealthy merchant arrived in the quaint village, his presence commanding attention. He had heard tales of Ilara's unparalleled skill and craftsmanship. He sought her out, a twinkle in his eye and a proposition on his lips, eager to see her work. The merchant wanted a statue, but not just any statue. He desired one made of pure gold, a testament to his immense wealth and success. Ilara listened intently, her curiosity piqued. Her fingers itched to mold the precious metal, envisioning the masterpiece she could create. The merchant offered a hefty sum, a fortune beyond her wildest dreams. It was more money than Ilara had ever dreamed of, a life-changing amount. She thought of all the things she could do with such wealth. She could expand her workshop, buy a bigger house, and even help her neighbors in need. The weight of the opportunity and the gold it promised settled heavily on Ilara's shoulders. For the first time, her heart ached for something more, something beyond her current life and dreams. Ilara accepted the commission. The merchant, pleased as punch, left her with a bag of gold coins. It was heavier than Ilara imagined. The weight of it felt strange in her hands, cold and foreign. She began work on the statue. Each clang of the hammer, usually a song, now sounded like a warning. The gold felt different from the other metals she worked with. It was unforgiving, cold, and strangely empty. As days turned into nights, a change crept over Ilara. The gold had a way of seeping into her thoughts, whispering promises of comfort and ease. Greed, like a weed, took root in her heart. Ilara found herself working less and dreaming more, her mind often drifting away from the tasks at hand. She imagined a life of luxury, far away from the soot and sweat of her workshop, a place where she could escape the daily grind. Her neighbors noticed the change in her demeanor, whispering among themselves about her distant gaze. They saw the vacant look in her eyes, the way she clutched the bag of gold as if it were her lifeline. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a young boy approached Ilara with hesitant steps. He held a small, dented toy soldier, its paint chipped and its limbs slightly bent. "Can you fix him?" he asked, his voice filled with hope and innocence, eyes wide with expectation. Ilara looked at the toy, then at the bag of gold, feeling a tug at her heart. A wave of shame washed over her, realizing how far she had strayed from her true self. She realized the gold had come at a price she hadn't fully understood until now. It had stolen her joy, her peace, and her connection to the village, leaving her feeling isolated and alone. The weight of the gold was nothing compared to the weight of her guilt, a burden she could no longer ignore. The next morning, Ilara sought out the merchant. She found him at the village inn, surrounded by luxurious goods. "I cannot complete the statue," she said, her voice firm. The merchant raised an eyebrow, his face a mask of surprise. Ilara explained. She spoke of the hold the gold had taken on her, of the joy it had stolen. She placed the bag of gold on the table, the clinking of the coins a sound of relief. "True wealth," she said, "is not found in gold." The merchant listened, his expression softening. He saw the truth in Ilara's words, the peace that had returned to her eyes. He nodded, accepting her decision. Ilara returned to her workshop. It felt lighter, brighter. The familiar scent of coal smoke and hot metal was a welcome embrace. She picked up her hammer, It felt right in her hand, an extension of herself. The villagers, sensing the shift in Alara, returned. They brought her stories, laughter, and the warmth of their companionship. Alara realized that the merchant had been wrong. She wasn't poor at all. She was rich in love, in community, in the passion she poured into her craft. That, Alara knew, was a wealth that gold could never buy.